Hello, I am Sean Sands from GamersWithJobs.com and the Gamers with Jobs conference call back for just a little more chat, a little more Factorio, a little bit of taking it easy. What do I want to do this time? I think so. We've got some initial science going. I mean, this is just abysmal and slow. So I mean, it's not a long-term solution. But what I want to start doing, I think, is probably set up my first actual uh, processing to start kind of making my real factory, as it were, which should probably be along here and out this way. Now, this this little group of aliens is going to be something definitely I want to take care of, and maybe I'll actually start by going back this way and sort of swinging around. Um, I think I like that idea, kind of swinging around, setting it up um, south of this little lake. So probably putting the actual processing center through here, have a copper one through here, and then running my main bus down here under along this way somewhere. Gives me a little more territory I have to worry about, but also gives me a little more buffer before I feel up against it with those aliens. Let's see, what do we need? Um, allows all that. Not really interested in that. Not really interested in that yet. This I could use. I could use the underground belt for sure, and I could use the splitter. Yep, I want that. That's up next. Maybe we go ahead and make another one of these in the meantime. Just to keep the keep the red science flowing. So we can just do this. Yeah. And we can run that right here. And we'll need an inserter. We'll need two inserters because we'll also be running probably we'll just run it like this. Again, sloppy, and we'll be destroying it in the not too distant future. So like that, and there we go. That should help a bit. And then if we want to put one more here, oh, lights. That's what I wanted to start doing. Let's start making lights. So we'll need a good bit of iron for that, which we have some. So we'll put together some lamps so we can actually start seeing. Put them down here in our slot. Oh yeah, there we go. So we'll put a lamp here and some here. Just kind of dot the area with them. Again, just because it's so dark. The game is just it's almost ominously, perilously dark at times. And this helps. At least it helps me. Here, maybe one over here, and one sort of in this area so we can kind of see what we're doing. And that's good. That'll help for now. What else? Get some more magazines just to be safe. We have some turrets out here. It's got 9 clips left. This one has 7. All right, good. That should give us sort of enough coverage in the short term that we can actually start setting up this bus that we want to set up. And yeah, that'll keep some technology flowing in the short term. So what do we need? We are going to need a bunch of stone furnaces. So actually I need to make a mining drill and a storage chest. Good. We have that now. What else do we want? Ooh, I saw fast inserters. I feel like I saw fast inserters. Where did I see those? Nope, that's not actually it. Oh, yeah, this would increase items, but we don't have it. We're nowhere near our green our green science yet, so I'm not going with that. Maybe I didn't. But, oh, I like this. I want the assembling machine too. I got distracted. Oh, I was going to make this burner right here, which I actually didn't need to make one. I had a ton of them. Oh, well. And then I wanted a little wooden chest. Just pump it into, and we'll put some coal in there. There we go. And we'll get some stone in there. We'll start making some stone furnaces. So we'll give that a minute. Where are we going to put this thing? What did I say? We're going to run it around this way. So let's go ahead and put our... It's time to get rid of these. Nope. I need another pick. Need another axe. We're going to get rid of that. That. Because we're going to use these stone burners. Let's see. We want to get everything. So probably here and here. We'll need to take this. And we'll get chatting here in a second. But I do have actually this thing that I actually want to do today. And we'll build from there. We ought to make ourselves a thing to actually make some transport belt. Iron plate, iron gears. So I think we will make ourselves another quick little assembling machine to make ourselves some transport plate instead of having to build it every time we want something. We will get another inserter. Wait. No reason to. We'll make a couple of fast inserters. 1, 2, 3. 3 fast inserters. One to bring them in. Keep going. One to bring this. And one to deposit it. And we'll need another chest. We'll just do an iron chest this time. And this is going to make transport plate, transport belt. And we don't need an infinite amount. We'll do 4 stacks for now at a time. Cool. How are we doing up here on stone? Got 48 stone. We can start. I'm not going to automate the stone furnaces. I'm just not going to make that many of them or enough of them to sort of justify that. There we go. It's chewing through this. Yeah, I wonder if the science machines just snatched it up. I love that. Dude. This thing's like, I'm going to get it this time. No, you're not. So actually, we're going to kill that. And we're actually going to build one more assembling machine and just have it feed it right into there. Can we fit it in? Yeah, we can. No, we can't. But we will be able to. I'm going to move that. And I'm going to move that. Eventually. Come on. Yeah. There we go. That's fine for now. What's that not connected to? Oh, we'll go ahead and plug this in here. And we'll put the connecting thing there. Nope, that was bad. We're not going to put it there. We're going to put it here so that we can snatch up this, and we will need one more fast inserter, and this will just create another set of gears that will be put from here to here. There we go. And that way it won't use up all the gears up here. Okay. What do I want to talk about today? So I want to talk about. Um, so one of the things that interests me is when I'm thinking about a game like Factorio. Factorio is currently in early access, um, which in general I'm a fan of. Early access has brought me games like Factorio. And like Kerbal Space Program, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Um, but I know not everybody's sort of on the early access bandwagon. I think there are people who see early access in some cases as sort of being a money grab, or having to pay to beta somebody else's product or something like that. And I can see where they're coming from, but I gotta say overall I disagree. I think ultimately, in many ways, that early access may be one of the best things to ever happen to gaming. Certainly to indie gaming, because I just I think the long term, the ultimate result of early access gaming is that we are getting more games that we probably, or at least might not have gotten otherwise. Um, and we're getting them better than we would have gotten otherwise. Uh, I feel like a game like Factorio is sort of the best example um, of early access gaming. Right, this is not a complete game, and it's got work to do. It's not a pretty game necessarily, but it's fleshed out. It definitely has character to it. It has a lot of it has a lot to keep your attention. It really it delivers a good experience, a strong experience, but one that you can also pretty easily imagine being even better, um, which is kind of the point. It is ultimately a system to provide uh, gamers an opportunity to get into games. Now, to some degree, the sort of worst example of it, um, or at least the best example I can think of early access gaming, um, sort of in excess and gone astray, is Star Citizen, um, which also has this huge crowdfunding component. Like Star Citizen, sort of a mix of a million different little and big problems. Star Citizen has this big name, Chris Roberts behind it. It has millions and millions of dollars of funding, and it's got this kind of early access component now, where you can kind of buy to play. And the more you spend, the more you kind of get for your money out of it. It feels, I don't know, I always feel a little bit like the game just sort of is trying, like it's being a little too overt about just being comfortable taking any money I want to give it. Um, at the same time, uh, arguably, it would not exist without those components either. It would not exist without crowdfunding. It would not exist without, it wouldn't continue to be growing without early access. And there is something I have to admit that I really enjoy seeing about having um, this space sim game sort of reinvigorate what had for a long time felt like it might be a dead genre. Like just kind of all at once bring it back to life. Um, there's something really pleasing to me about that, and I can't help in some ways to also cheer for cheer for the game to work, even as I kind of have to come to terms with the fact that it's all too happy to just sort of siphon money off of me. Like it feels, um, in some ways like a pyramid scam, for lack of a better term. Um, and I'm not sure that's uh, quite the right description, except that it's kind of as though you can keep investing money and investing money and investing money with this idea of some long-term return that you will get. We're going to cut this back a little bit, and we're going to build a splitter. Um, yeah, and that's a little disappointing. Like I wish it was doing. I wish it was doing um, something more tangible, something more realistic, something more that feels like it's actually going to come out and be a game soon, as opposed to what I feel like Chris Roberts' team is doing, which is they're so in the generate new revenue, generate new subscribers, generate ongoing crowdfunding, that they've just sort of gotten into, almost like they've gotten into a loop with it. It feels like they've sort of gotten stuck into that mode, um, like almost as though they don't know how to. They've gone the other side. They don't know how to make money without just continuing to raise money. They're sort of raising money for raising money's sake, and in all that, the game doesn't feel any closer, which is, I think, a valid concern, and a concern a lot of people have brought up about both early access and these crowdfunding initiatives. I think there are a lot of examples of games that don't fall into that trap. Okay, I need to think for a second here. So what I want to do is I want to bring these together, and I want to split them. And I want, okay, what do I want to do? I'm going to have a splitter like here, and I'm going to go half of it this way, like that, and the other half this way, like that. Oh, I ran out of transport. And then I'll get back to what I was saying in a second. And I realize there's an irony of sitting here playing an early access game and praising early access at the same time. Like, there's that feels like, well, yeah, I guess you do. After all, look at you sitting there playing Factorio. So, and those of you who know anything about me know that along with that comes hours and hours also of games like Kerbal Space Program, and God, what else? I'll bring this like this. Nope. Okay, and I'm going to bring this up here like this. Then I need to start powering stuff up. Yeah, so I've played a lot of. Oh, I don't want to make them all. That's fine. Actually, stop it. Yeah, right click is what I wanted to do. Yeah, I played a lot of these early access games. I mean, at some point you just gotta, like I realize, my position is pretty settled at this point as to whether I dig those games or not. It's kind of a done deal at this point. But at the same time, I can understand why people would be hesitant and would be concerned about the long-term viability, because it does bring up sort of this specter that had particularly been perpetuated, I guess, by major publishers, of feeling like sometimes in gaming you are paying to beta test for them, as opposed to getting your money's worth. And there is an element of that within the idea of early access. These aren't, but the inserters will be. Let's see, what do we want to do? We'll go up here and get a bunch of coal. and that's frustrating. It's interesting because there's this sort of, I don't know if it's a double standard. It's not, because I think people are more inclined to um, provide, just sort of give the benefit of the doubt to smaller developers, like the team making Factorio, the team that makes Arc, or Kerbal Space Program, or Daisy has its own problems. But these smaller developers, I think people are more comfortable saying, well, you don't have a lot of other options for funding. Even if you do get crowdfunded, even if you have a successful Kickstarter campaign, the reality is that I'm going to put another one here first so I don't screw this up. That only gets you so far. Is this working right? Yeah, there we go. So I assume, I don't know how many of you play a lot of Factorio. The idea with this is to be able to feed each of these stone furnaces both the coal it needs to burn the iron, as well as the iron itself. So now we just need a bunch of fast inserters, and this will kick a bunch of steel out onto this plate, which will begin to feed into our main bus, where we will, from there, begin to actually build out what will be our factory in the long term. We don't have a lot of coal coming in here. I think that's fine. We'll take care of that. And I seeded it up pretty well, so it's not going to be using a lot of coal at a time. Get this and this. And we'll do that. And that. Going to just need a whole bunch of these fast inserters. And soon we will just automate making fast inserters too. Right? We're not going to sit here and keep doing this for super long time. Why 2 rows? Because as you can see, when a inserter takes something out and puts it on the belt, it puts it at the far end of the belt from itself. These inserters will never put this stuff on the right side of the belt. So if I want to maximize my belt space, I really have to have it coming from both sides, which will be important, particularly long term, as we are just kind of, we're going to be using a ton of steel over the course of this game. And we're almost there. There we go. Now you can see that one placed it on the far side. So we're starting to even it out here. And then we'll run this down. Probably want another turret soon. And probably upgrade my gun. Can I upgrade my gun yet? Yeah. Let's put a submachine gun in there. And some more magazines and maybe some armor. Might as well. There we go. And there we go. This will get us started. Okay. So we have our first sort of iron smelting production system. We'll want to upgrade everything here. But this iron source is gonna last us for a nice long time. Particularly as we phase all of this out and move all this back this way. Science production going well. Next, we're probably going to do the same thing with our, what do you call this stuff, copper over here, and we may run it down like this and around and do something similar just under here, and then we can split this coal off and have it feed both. Yeah, I'm going to probably start working on that. What's our next research going to be? Gun turret upgrade. Again, we don't really have the green science yet, and I'm not going to make just a temporary green science spot. Shotgun shells I'm not that interested in. Shooting speed, maybe. Bullet damage, probably. Do we have any kind of mainline technologies that we haven't? Yeah. So for now, we're just going to do this. And one of our short-term goals is going to have to be getting green science up and running. So yeah, back on the topic of early access, and I realize this probably isn't like a super controversial topic. I think there are a few people who have somewhat strong feelings about this. I think for the most part, people are like, yeah, early access makes sense. I'm with you. What's the big deal? But it, I also don't think it's just an automatic given that early access is always a good deal. Because I think there's an assumed risk there. I think it has some of the exact same risks that oh god, brain just died there. That the crowdfunding stuff does. I think it has some of the same fundamental questions, right? How are you going to make sure you get some sort of return? How are you going, what confidence do you have that the people who take your money aren't going to um, abuse that money, are going to give you what you expect? Because I mean, ultimately, a game in early access can and sometimes does get canceled, and there's certainly no guarantee that you're going to get your money back if that happens. It's just sort of, well, yeah, that's them's the breaks, bud, which is not a particularly satisfying answer when that's your $15 that is suddenly out the door. Let's see, how do we want to run this? I think we'll run it like this and then come back around like that. Bring this. Yeah, no, it needs to be down there. Good. Go ahead and plug another one of these in here. Make sure it's getting everything it can. So why am I, if there's that assumed risk and there really is the possibility that, people aren't going to get what they paid for, why would I make a statement like this is one of the best things to ever happen to gaming? And the answer to that is because ultimately, I think when it works, it facilitates the creation of really, really inventive games. Games that nobody else is going to potentially fund. Where'd all my stuff go? Interesting. I assume I did something. I assume I pressed some collection of buttons there. Let's do that and bring this down. Need more fast inserters. Those will all do. And we'll need, so what do we need to build? We're going to need some more stone. Let's build another one of, nope, we don't have enough iron plates. So we'll need some iron plates. I know a number of places to get those. But we can build a few more of these. And we can go get a bunch of iron plates. Iron plates will be readily accessible for the foreseeable future. Not forever, but for now, certainly. And we will build a splitter and some more fast inserters. All right, what I want to do is run this over here. So my actual construction area, it'd be nice to integrate these into the setup I have. Let's see. So to do that, I would probably want to have it here. No space. We have to move this one up a little bit. We'll get it back in a second. 2 there. 1 there. Yeah, like that. And like that. Then we'll put some more in. Then we would need these coming down basically like this. And funneling out here. Gonna need some more to, yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Good. some more. Don't worry, I've got an idea here. Here. So we will have it like this, maybe. Nope, that won't work. Splitter, and then, so we need a couple of splitters. And like that. Now to get these, gonna have to get another splitter. To do that, we're gonna need more iron. And what do we need for electronic circuits? Copper. Yeah, we'll need some copper. That means we'll have to come back up here. While we're doing that, I want to wrap up my thoughts. I know they're just at this. They're sort of rambling. Which again, this is not prepared remarks. This is this is stuff we can talk about and debate, and definitely don't think mine is anywhere near the final position on it. Ultimately, it's just a matter of I think that early access, and to a lesser extent, a solid crowdfunding pattern, while it could be exploited, and in some unfortunate cases may even be exploited, the benefit it provides is great enough that it's worth the hazard that a few bad people are going to create. I don't know that a game like Kerbal Space Program or Factorio exists without that, right? I think, but it's more than just that. It's not just that they do or don't exist. It's also that they're better because of this pattern. Because that's the real benefit to me of an early access model, is that not only do creators have access to keep funding through what is often, even with the best of intentions, an extended development cycle, it is also that they get the benefit of really good input from the people likely to be most interested in their game, most invested in the game. I think over the years, having somebody like Scott Manley, for example, be able to constantly be providing feedback and input and generating enthusiasm and excitement for a game like Kerbal Space Program, means that when that game is ultimately done, it is going to be, and arguably is, better than it would have been without a Scott Manley. Would Scott Manley have shown up after release? Sure, probably. But at that point, like, the game is in a much more static state too, right? Would he have had as much influence over how the game was being developed, and how much, I don't have the impression that it would have had the same vector and influence. Like, having somebody in a pre-release state kind of generate interest in your game, provide really solid feedback, do the streaming and lots of YouTube and all these different channels, a smart developer. And I mean, ultimately it has to be smart developers taking advantage of what they have available, or not taking advantage of it, regardless of whether you're talking about early access or regular patterns of game production. Having that makes the ultimate output better. Having that for a game like Factorio ultimately makes the final game better. It gives the developer more time to create the games. It gives the players a better chance to provide input on that game in a way that they wouldn't. I mean, even as you look at betas and things like, take for example the recent Overwatch, the stress test and the open beta it did. I mean, and Blizzard, yeah, they aren't a company that needs to go down the early access path. And they're solid developers. So how much input do they need? But imagine you're not Blizzard and you go through that model. I think this is something with like Battleborn, for example, or even like we were talking about last week, like Doom. I gotta say, like, even though Bethesda's this massive company and they have plenty of, just money pouring out of their ears, and I know, I have no doubt, had they done it, they would have gotten beat up by gamers in the gaming press across the board. I think they should have. I think it would have been helpful and created a better game, potentially a game that people were more enthusiastic about and eager to play if they had done a Doom early access, right? I know there's sort of this stigma against the idea of a major publisher who's got a ton of money going that route. It would just be seen as a cash grab, but companies making money isn't the problem. That's not a bad thing. The problem is that we have these models of development that force companies like Bethesda, that force companies like Ubisoft and like even the EAs and Activisions and Blizzards of the world to be really, 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 really risk averse, and that risk aversion makes for worse games. I think something like early access mitigates some of that risk aversion. I don't know that it mitigates all of it, and there's no guarantees that those companies wouldn't abuse that sort of system, and certainly I think you have to assume that some of them they just would. It's not great, but I live in the real world too, and sometimes those companies would use it for more as a just profit driver than as a way to develop games better. Again, I don't think you can create a foolproof system for developing games, one where you have consistent, reasonable expectation that the people involved, the money makers involved, aren't going to abuse the system for their own nefarious deeds at some point. It's just that's not how the world works, unfortunately. But I don't think that means you throw out any kind of system that allows that is so helpful to creators as this kind of system is. So I mean, I guess ultimately I'm not, again, like I said, I don't think I'm saying anything particularly controversial here. It's not the point of what I'm doing. I'm not trying to get people riled up. There's enough of that in the world. Just kind of something that's been on my mind a little bit lately, and that I think it's an interesting development. I think a powerful one in gaming overall. This idea of early access and crowdfunding, and genuinely giving creators more latitude, more of a vehicle to spend time making their game. Sometimes you'll get the digital anvils of the world there, where it seems like they're just stuck collecting money and occasionally working on an actual game. Why isn't this? Oh, because it's doing that. And that's not great, but I don't think you can cover all the bases to just force companies to never, ever, ever do that. There'll always be somebody there to abuse the system. But this particular system, I think, is good enough that it's worth putting up with that occasional abuse. I don't know. I'm interested in what you think. Like, let me know. Are you a fan of early access games? Do you, and by no means am I saying, that if you're in a position where you're just like, look, I don't want to pay for something that's not done. Like that makes sense. I'm with you. I get it. I think there are some people who take that a step further than it needs to go to say, I don't think I ever want to do this. Therefore, really, actually, it just shouldn't exist. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. You don't have to be that guy. Um, Now, like I say, I'm interested in what you think. I'm also interested if there's, if there are topics you're interested in, talking about or hearing me prattle on about while I'm playing Factorio. By all means, drop me a line. If you have thoughts on something, like the whole point of this is to sort of have a conversation. A lot of that is since I'm pressing the buttons, me talking a lot, but I don't want it to just be that. So yeah, I'm interested in what you think. Are you a fan of early access games? Have you ever gotten burned? How has that changed anything you felt? Let me know. Just drop a line in the comments below. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Factorio in a Conversation. We got started on sort of our initial iron and copper producing factories. We're going to take this and we're probably going to split it into a couple of different channels and run it around here and start just kind of mass shoving raw materials and raw resources down here. We'll probably also bring, as we work through this, we'll probably also bring a line of coal down as well. Anyway, my name's Sean Sands from gamerswithjobs.com. As always, I appreciate you hanging out and visiting. Let me know your thoughts. Love to hear them. Let me know when I'm doing really, really dumb here. Like I say, once I get started talking, sometimes I'm not paying the best attention. It won't be super efficient. We can, by the way, do that there. Until next time, we will see you real soon.